You know, in politics, loyalty can be everything, until it's not. And when one of the most famously loyal supporters suddenly breaks ranks, well, that's when things get really interesting. We're about to dive into the absolutely shocking resignation of one of the MAGA movement's biggest stars. So let's get right to it. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is without a doubt one of Donald Trump's most vocal and ardent supporters in Congress, just announced she's resigning. And look, this isn't some quiet ride off into the sunset kind of exit. This is a political earthquake, and we're all just starting to feel the aftershocks. So how did this all actually happen? Well, this wasn't some formal letter or a quiet press release. Nope. Greene made her announcement in a very, very public way. She just dropped the news in a 10-minute video she posted online. And her official reason? She said she just never fit in and was basically sick of all the hatred she faced in Washington. Now, for a politician who's pretty much known for her combative, in-your-face style, that's a really personal explanation for such a massive political decision, right? But honestly, the resignation itself, that's only half the story. The real drama, the part that has everyone talking, is the spectacular, absolute falling out between her and the one person she built her entire career defending, Donald Trump. I mean, the speed of this turnaround is just incredible. It gives you whiplash. 1 minute, Greene is a central figure in the whole Make America Great Again movement, and the next, she's being publicly called a traitor by Trump himself. It's a complete 180. So what could possibly cause such a huge political divorce? Well, it seems the disagreements were over some really big policy issues. Things like the release of Jeffrey Epstein-related files, different takes on foreign policy, and even healthcare. So we're not talking about minor squabbles here. These were fundamental breaks that just exploded into public view and really challenged that idea of a totally united front. And you have to understand, this wasn't some private argument that just happened to leak to the press. Oh no, this thing escalated, and it escalated fast, into a very public and really personal feud. Trump's response was, as you might expect, swift and pretty brutal. He came out and publicly called her a traitor and crazy. I mean, when a political leader uses that kind of language against someone who was, just a little while ago, a top ally, it sends a crystal clear message to everybody else. You fall in line, or you could be next. But it didn't stop with insults. Trump took it a step further with a direct political threat. He actually vowed to back a primary challenger against Greene in her next election. So this wasn't just a war of words anymore, this was a declaration of all-out political war. Now, to really get why this split is such a massive deal, we kind of have to rewind the clock. We need to go back to the beginning of Greene's political career, which from day one was basically welded to Donald Trump. You know, it's pretty wild. Greene's political career is actually quite short. It only really started about 5 years ago. And from the very start, her entire platform was built on just unwavering, rock-solid support for Donald Trump. She made a name for herself almost immediately with some really controversial statements, like her remarks about Muslim members of Congress back in 2019, and her full embrace of QAnon. All of which just makes this public break with Trump and her resignation feel that much more seismic. Yeah, her time in the public eye has really been defined by these sorts of controversies. She was a very outspoken supporter of the QAnon theory, and that was a position that got her a lot of criticism, even from some inside the Republican Party. But it earned her praise from Trump. She also started a huge firestorm when she argued that Muslim members of Congress weren't legitimate because they took their oath of office on the Quran instead of the Bible. Okay, so after this absolute bombshell of an announcement, where do things go from here? What are the immediate consequences of her decision to just walk away from it all? Well, we do have a date. Greene has said her final day in Congress will be January 5th, 2026. So she's not leaving tomorrow, but the clock is now officially ticking on her career in Washington. So all of this leaves us with one massive question, doesn't it? This really isn't just about one politician's career anymore. It feels like a potential crack in the very foundation of a political movement. What happens when a movement that's built on absolute, unquestioning loyalty starts to turn on itself? The answer to that could very well shape the future of American politics.